Hello folks. So in this video I'm going to show you and explain the TensorFlow code related to variables. By the end of this video you will be able to understand how to instantiate and store the variable values so that you will get the optimized value of these values by training your model. So keep on watching till the end to get the complete information around TensorFlow variables. Folks, this is Nitin, who is on a mission to democratize artificial intelligence, big data, Hadoop, cloud computing, and blockchain to the entire world. And with this aim, I am regularly creating the associated content and publishing it as well on periodic basis in order to make it available for the entire community who wants to learn these modern technologies. You can subscribe to my channel or press the bell icon to keep on getting the latest updates regarding hottest technologies of 21st century. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at the links given above. So folks, as I have explained in the previous videos, variables are entities whose values can be changed at runtime. The values stored in these variables can be replaced by new value as a part of update process. As discussed earlier, machine learning model training is an iterative process, and we essentially, feed back the error. Uh, in fact, feed the error back to the beginning of the program, thereby finding new values which can be assigned to variables, repeating this process again and again till the time we get optimized value. So we need some construct which can regularly store new updated values as a part of iterative machine learning, and we use variables for that purpose, rather TensorFlow variables for that purpose. So let's move on to the coding part now. Here I will utilize the regression, linear regression equation, or the equation of line, which is y equals to ax plus b, where both a and b are variables, right? So let me open the Jupyter notebook real quick. Perfect. So here you can see, I have imported the required libraries as usual. So these are the libraries. Okay. Uh, Next, I have written the code for setting up parameter for computation graph, right? So here you can see I have set up or written the code for setting up the parameter for computation graph. Here you can see that, right? And I have given the explanation of each line in the previous video, so you can revisit those. Okay, and in fact I have explained each and every line given here, so you can very well see those videos, right? So moving on, as we can see the code below, so let me scroll down a bit. One thing to tell you here is that when I ran this particular cell, it provided me this link for TensorBoard graph, which is this one. Okay, I will explain this in a moment. So let me come back. So this particular piece of code provides this TensorBoard link where we can see our computation graph. Okay, so let me scroll down a little bit further. So we can see on the code here, right, that I have instantiated some random float 32 values, right? So here using tf dot variable, I have instantiated a random float 32 values and given it as a name a. Okay, so this is my variable a, and you can see that here I have used a variable method. That's why uh, it actually says that I'm kind of instantiating a variable here using this variable method, right? And so these are float 32 values in the form of tensors to the variable a and b, and I have also assigned some name as you can see here, right? So third statement is this one, x. So x is a placeholder here which requires some input during computation in order to calculate the value of y. Okay, so y equals to a into x plus b, and x is a placeholder value and a and b are variables here. So x is a placeholder which requires some input during computation in order to calculate the value of y, right? So now one important thing here is that if you use variables anywhere in your TensorFlow based program, then you need to run a specific additional computation to initialize their values, right? So I have used that I have used this statement for that purpose only. So please note the variables can't be used before running this particular spatial initialization is computation step here, which is given here. Okay, so this is tf dot global underscore variables underscore initializer, and which is used to globally initialize the variables, or in fact initialize all the variables in your TensorFlow program. Okay, so next I have instantiated the session just like I did in other videos, but you need to add an additional statement here. Okay, here this is the statement which is the additional statement you need to add. Okay, this is called ses.run underscore init. So this will be the node which will instantiate all the variables. Okay, and now once the variables are instantiated, you can now run ses.run, okay, on y, which will require the values of a value of x before it can be computed. And that is the reason I'm passing feed dictionary for the value of x here. Okay, so through feed dictionary I'm passing the value input value of x, which is 8 and 20. Okay, and when I ran the cell, uh, it computed, in fact it was computed, the value of y will be computed based on this equation, a into x plus b, and you can see the output as here. Okay, so the output is very well calculated here for y using input value as 8 comma 20. Okay, now folks, you might wonder if what if you don't want to initialize all the variables. Well, there is an option for that as well in TensorFlow. You can initialize certain specific variables by using tf dot. So this particular piece of code, before moving on to that, this particular piece of code I also explained in the previous video. This is related to the writing the graph. Okay, so this TensorBoard graph of computation can be written using these statements, right? So let's move on. So what I was telling, so you can initialize certain specific variables using tf dot initializer. Okay, you just need to pass the variable as argument for which you want to initialize the value. So here I am just instantiating or initializing the value of a, so just a. So I just wanted to initialize the value of a, not b. That's why I have passed it as a argument here in this variables underscore initialization function, right? And please note that I'm not initializing the value of b here, right? So when I run this cell, in fact when I ran this particular cell, so everything was same. Only difference was that I just initialized only the value of a, not all the values, and b is not initialized in this particular cell. When I ran this cell, I got this error. Okay, I got this error. So and the reason was that I didn't initialize the value of b. That's why I got this error. And in fact, if you scroll down, you can see the message pertaining to that. So here you can see the message attempting to use uninitialized value of b. Okay, so a message clearly says that I haven't initialized the value of b, that's why I got this error. Okay, so uh, we always need to initialize the variable values. Okay, so next I will show you how to update the values of variables in a particular session. Okay, so here I have initialized, let me show you, let me scroll down a bit. So here you can see that I have initialized two variables, num1 and num2, and the variable values passed as 5 and 4 respectively. So both are initialized, num1 and num2 both are initialized as 5 and 4 respectively. Then I initialized all the variables by using this tf.global underscore variables underscore initializer function. Okay, right? And I then performed computation to add two numbers, okay, using this particular piece of code. So computation is the name I have given to this variable, and here I am just assigning the addition of num1 and num2 into num1. Okay, so I repeat, I'm assigning the addition of num1 and num2 into num1. Okay, so next I I instantiated the session using this tf.session as ses. Okay, and and initialize all the variables by calling this ses.run in brackets init. Okay, and now I will change the values of our variables. So here I'm setting up a for loop, as you can see here. Okay, and I'm just going to iterate through 10 times. Okay, so this 10 represent 10 times I'm going to iterate through. So within the for loop, the first line computes, the value of a variable computation by using ses.run. Okay, and the second line of code, in the second line of code I'm just incrementing the value of num2 by 2 here. Okay, so essentially we are changing the value of variable in each of the ses.run executions. So here you can see in the first pass or the first run. Okay, so let's move to this particular computation. So the values were initialized as 5 and 4, right? And in the num1 I just assigned the addition of those two values. So num1 will is now having a value as 9, right? Right, and if you can see, so the first pass the num1 was 9, so that's why it was printed as 9. Okay, new value, if you move further down you can see that I assigned the uh, value 2 to num2. So 4 plus 2 became 6, so the new value became 6. And when I added this num2 again with the 9 which was calculated here, so 9 plus 6 came out as 15. Okay, and then I again added the 2 to num2. So num2 was 6, then I added 2, so it became 8. So the new value became 8, and when I added 8 into 15 it came out as 23, and so on, right? And in the TensorFlow you can very well see this. So variable, so I'm just showing you for the first computation here, y equals to ax plus b. Okay, so if you see in that in TensorBoard you can see that this got initialized, a got initialized because it was variable a, then b also got initialized, the variable b also got initialized using these initializer function, which is global underscore variable underscore initializer, right? So these got initialized, you can see here, and then a is got multiplied with x using this equation. So y, what was y? A into x plus b. So that's why it is showing a into x, and then the result will be is added with b. Okay, so this is the way. So this is the graph of that equation, a into x, which is x is here. So a multiplied by x, and then I am adding b into that result. So you can see the tensor board graph. Okay, right. So this is the way we actually utilize the variable values, and how can we initialize those values. So I showed different flavors of it. Initially I calculated this y equals to ax plus b computation using variables, and then later on I showed you how to basically initialize all the variables using this global function, and then later on I showed you how to initialize selectively the variables. Okay, and then after that I showed how to update the variable values. Okay, so folks, this is it for this video. To conclude, I explained as I told you earlier, variables. I explained variables to you, and explained TensorFlow. In fact, TensorFlow code related to variables based computation, and also showed you different flavors of it, as well as how can we see the computation graph on tensor board. Okay, so folks, let me ask you a question from today's video. Which computation, TensorFlow computation, do we use to initialize all the variables globally? Okay, so please feel free to share your comments in the comment section given below. You can also ask your technical questions in the comment section, and I will be glad to answer your questions. Excuse me. And if you're watching this video and you're not already a subscriber to our channel, consider clicking that little subscribe button. And in case you have already subscribed, then click on bell icon to receive the notifications whenever I will release a new video. So thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I will be covering next topic in the upcoming videos, so keep on watching. Thank you.